Hi, welcome back on board. Today in our Mind Solitaire section, I bring you this game, Brains, the Japanese Garden. It's a fantastic solitaire for ages 8 and up in which you're going to turn into a landscape artist and you have to design beautiful gardens. But meeting all the requirements from your clients is not going to be an easy task. You have a total of 50 challenges in 5 levels of increasing difficulty. The length, as in all of these games, depends on each challenge. It's a game by the world-famous German designer Rainer Knizia, PhD in mathematics, who won the Spiel des Jahres for Keltis and the Kinderspiel des Jahres for Versbar, both in the year 2008. This guy has designed over 600 games. 600! And not only that, he doesn't only just design games, he also writes books about game mechanics. That's why he's a specialist in creating games where a single game mechanic is the core and essence of the game itself. Besides Keltis, some of his other famous games are Tigris and Euphrates, Medici, Kin, Pico Pico. The illustrations and layout of the game are by the Austrian Andreas Resch, who's also behind the illustrations of famous games like Istanbul, Great Western Trail, Mombasa, Pictomania. Brains, the Japanese Garden was published in 2015, and it's part of the Brains series that in Spain has published 3 so far, and I think there's a total of 4 or 5 and more to come. Of the 2 other ones published here so far is one of a treasure island or a treasure map and mixing potions, and one about mixing potions. This is the 2016 edition brought to us in Spain by SD Games and Gen X Studios. Its price is around 15 euros. The game is completely not language dependent, only the rules have a little bit of text. In this review/tutorial, I'm going to show you the contents, I'm going to explain the rules, go through a couple of challenges, and then explain who the game is for. In the video description below, you'll find a link to our Mind Solitaire section, and you'll also find a link to a playlist with relaxing Japanese music to play in the background while you play the game. There's also a link to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet, and if you have, don't forget to click that bell so you get a notification every time we upload a new video. Let's see its content.
On the cover you can see this Japanese gate called a torii that are usually found in sanctuaries. We can clearly see that it's a tile game. On the back there's a brief description of the game and a list of contents. Here it also shows that you can buy a digital version of the game online. Inside the box is a small rulebook and a booklet that is divided into 2 parts. The first half brings hints to give you a head start on each challenge, and the second half has the solutions to all the challenges. Below these are the 7 tiles that are all different. There is an extra white tile left from the punch-out that is not used. They're printed on both sides, and the back is the same for all. All the tiles have trails that go from one edge to another. There are a few with wooden bridges that cross at different levels. And then there's a tile with a yin-yang symbol where the trails end. There's also another one with a Japanese pagoda building. You know, one of those beautiful several-story high traditional buildings. And under all the components are the 50 challenges on double-sided cards. The game objective is to create a garden that meets all of your clients' expectations. You'll do so by filling the space in the challenge cards with the correct garden tiles, and by doing so, connect the paths accordingly. The tasks to fulfill are drawn on the challenge cards on the borders of the garden. If there's a pagoda symbol, the path must lead to the pagoda. If 2 symbols of the same kind are shown, of a tree, a butterfly, a lotus, or a torii, you must connect them together. If there is a bridge with a number, the path must go over that exact number of bridges. If there's a small box, which is actually a tile with a number, like the one on the bottom left, the path must pass through that exact number of tiles. A single tile may be counted several times if the path crosses it several times, like what happens in this case. Lastly, if there's a yin-yang symbol, the path must lead there. Keep in mind that paths end at the yin-yang square. It is quite common that, like in this case, a single path uses 2 different symbols and therefore fulfills 2 different tasks. The path entries and exits that aren't marked with symbols or numbers must also connect to other empty entries and exits. Let's look at a couple of challenges. Challenge number 2. In this challenge, we only need to place one tile. The client requests are to connect the entries and exits with the lotus symbols and connect a path that leads to the pagoda. Since we only have one tile with a pagoda, it must be the one. We now have 4 placement possibilities if we rotate it, but the lotus path curves from the top to the left, so this is the correct answer. Let's look at challenge 11, which is in the next difficulty level. Since it's our second challenge, we're going to use the hint booklet and start with one tile placed. The requests are: connect the Torii symbols, connect this path with the yin-yang square, and connect the pagoda symbols with the pagoda. Therefore, we know that we're going to need the tiles with the pagoda and the one with the yin-yang. On the top part of the placed tile is a path that curves upwards like a U. This means that the paths of the tile placed above it will be isolated from the rest. It must therefore be the tile with the pagoda. If we place it the way it looks, it fits perfectly. We could rotate the remaining tile until it fits by trial and error. But let's think a bit. To connect the Torii symbols, we need a path section on a corner. This one. There you go. Let's look at one last challenge, number 18, which is part of the next difficulty level. But this time I'm going to give you some time to solve it yourself, and I'll give you step-by-step hints. So you can either choose to pause the video now and try to solve it from the beginning, or wait till I give you some hints and go on from there. Each challenge has only one possible solution, so if you solve it, leave us a comment below and tell us what hints, if any, you used. First hint. 3 tiles you are not going to need. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Second hint. I'm sure that by now you know you're going to need the pagoda and the yin-yang tiles. But where does the third unidentified tile go? Ready? 3, 2, 1. Third and last hint. Which one is the third missing tile? 3, 2, 1. I hope you can solve it now. I guarantee it's harder solving it on screen than with the game pieces in front of you.
I think the game is beautiful and the theme is quite nice. It didn't really feel like I was designing gardens or anything like that. But again, it's an abstract game and, the theme is not as important in these type of games. Apart from a city and streets that are connected in different districts or blocks, I can't really imagine a different theme that would go with it as well as this one. I especially like taking these games with me when I travel to places or I'm on public transport. So I really like the format, the plastic compact format of other Think Fun games and smart games. But in this case, I didn't really like such a big box idea. I can't take it with me on the bag I usually take with me or the backpack. So yeah, it's kind of uncomfortable. I like the booklet format, the idea that you can either play hardcore and not get any tips, or you can start the challenges with one of the tiles placed. So having that little push is kind of nice. This is probably on my top 3 of the hardest games I've played so far. The game is not mine. I borrowed it from my friend Rebo, and I've had it for quite some time now because I like recording the videos, filming the videos when I've already gone through all the challenges. And in this case, I got stuck on challenge 43, and it's impossible. It's so difficult. You only have one tile that you have to place, and the other ones you have no idea. And some of those trails cross 6 different tiles or 5 different tiles. So it's just a mess. I can't get through it. I got stuck at 43. As I mentioned before, the only thing I don't really like is the format. I like how it scales up in difficulty. When you start by placing just one tile and just randomly turn and see where it fits. But there's a moment in which it clicks in your head, and when you're placing 4 or 5, you know which tile you want, which one you need, because you get to know the tiles. You know that there's a couple of them that have trails that cross on the corner, or you know that there's a few of them, or maybe 1 or 2 that have trails that cross from the bottom left corner to the top right corner. So it gets to a point in which you know what you're actually doing. You're not just trying random combinations. I also like that it's difficult. I like the challenge it proposes. And I like the price. I think that 15 euros in the case it costs in Spain, it's a great quality gameplay time and price ratio. Like any other games in our Mind Solitaire section, if you wait a month or two, you can play it again. Replayability depends on how long you set it down for. So who's this game for? Well, if you like any of the videos in our Mind Solitaire section, you're gonna like this one. If you like traditional puzzles and mind puzzles, brain teasers, then you're gonna like it as well. And if you've tried the board game Tantrix, then you're definitely gonna love this one. Well, don't forget to thumbs up if you like the video and help us out by sharing it with your friends, even with your Spanish-speaking friends, because we also made the video in Spanish. And if the video helped you out or you end up getting the game, tag us to any photos you upload online or leave us a comment and tell us what you thought of it. Remember, you have more info in the video description below. And if you didn't know us from before, join us by subscribing. Games on Board. We do the reading, you do the playing.